he's not in the bill. Yeah, no shit. That's why Caitlin Collins is saying, yeah, Medicaid is not directly mentioned in the bill, but you have tasked every committee to cut billions of dollars. They have to cut Medicaid in that situation. Anyway, this chat is entertaining because so many stupids. All right, let's get back to the angry protesters seen at GOP town halls.
Think that the Senate is going to make big changes to what you passed last night?
No, I don't think they will. I think they understand the necessity of letting the House lead on this. We've got a smaller margin than they do for the first time in the modern era. The Senate Republicans have a larger margin than we do in the House, and I've got a much smaller needle to thread here. And I think they recognize that. I got 165 more personalities to deal with than they do, and a much more diverse caucus. So Senator Kennedy's one of my closest friends. I love his one-liners, okay? But I think what he was referring to there in that soundbite, Caitlin, is that he doesn't want to cut Medicaid benefits for anybody, and we don't either. I don't either. We're not going to do that. That's not part of this plan, and the Democrats have been lying about it, and so it's important for us to clarify that. That's what I think he was referring to. We're going to take care of those who are rightful beneficiaries of the programs. We're going to cut the fraud, waste, and abuse out of Medicaid, and that's where we're going to get part of the savings to accomplish this mission.
But are people who are covered by Medicaid now going to potentially lose Medicaid coverage as a result of this?
No, look, the White House has made a commitment. The president said over and over and over, we're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. We've made the same commitment. Now, that said, what we are going to do is go into those programs and carve out the fraud, waste, and abuse and find efficiencies. A couple of examples. You know, there's about $50 billion estimated that are lost every year in Medicaid just in fraud alone.
That fraud is not coming from individuals. It's coming from providers. They're not tackling providers. They're not actually going after like false billing. They are trying to cut recipients. Okay. It is not happening at the point of recipients. If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Okay. You wouldn't make Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, Rick Scott. You wouldn't make him the current, what is his current office? What is he? He's the Richard Lynn Scott is an American attorney, businessman, politician, Navy veteran, serving as the senior United States Senator from Florida, a seat he has held since 2019. And also, I believe this past election cycle, he was literally the head of the, what was it, like the Senate committee or something, like the Republican fundraising initiatives. The reason why I'm saying if you cared about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott is because, and not make him a prominent part of the Republican Party, is because he, to this day, is still also known as committing the largest Medicare fraud in U.S. history. They want to cut SNAP. They want to cut Medicaid. They want to cut the funding of Medicaid. They want to make it harder for people to receive Medicaid. They don't want to actually go after the medical providers or the insurance companies, or the nursing homes that are lining their pockets with major donations. Those are the people who actually engage in the fraud. It's not your uncle that's like lying about their condition and stealing money from the government by, you know, going to the doctor or whatever.
No one's for that. We've got to make sure we eliminate it. We have the algorithms now to do that. We have advanced technology to find it. We need to provide identification for people who are Medicaid recipients to make sure they are not illegal aliens. That's another big carve-out that we will make to save a lot of money. There are a lot of places to find efficiencies in these programs and ensure they're going to the people they're intended to help.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, these programs aren't going to remain solvent, and so that's a big part of the equation here.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because you talk about waste, fraud, and abuse that you're going to look at instead of making cuts elsewhere. But last year, between Medicaid and Medicare combined, there was about $100 billion in improper payments. Now, no one is excusing that or fraud or any waste and abuse, but you're looking for much larger than that. So where is the other $780 billion going to come from?
Well, look, we're talking about cuts that are in the range of $2 trillion, but you're also talking about the whole of the federal government. We're going to involve 11 different committees of jurisdiction in this process. So all this attention is being paid to Medicaid because that's the Democrats' talking point. We're talking.
It's not a Democrats' talking point. That's where a lot of the money is, and you want to cut it. It's just what is happening.
about a massive piece of legislation that looks at all of the fraud, waste, and abuse across the government and looks at programs that we do need to eliminate that isn't talking about health care for people that are relying upon that. Look, everybody needs to watch the process play out. We passed the budget resolution last night. It is merely a...
Also, I wish that was a Democrat talking point. How sad. Think about how much we have devolved in American politics. Like, it's not even a Democrat talking point. Like some Democrats talk about it. You know, you got Greg Kazar, AOC. There's a couple Democrats who like come out and pop off about it, but I wish it was a fucking Democrat talking point, you know? The level of resistance is so bad by the Democratic Party that it's not even a Democrat talking point.
Framework to set up.
Democrats are too busy trying to, you know, Democrats are too busy trying to set up Andrew Cuomo as the next mayor of New York because God forbid the DSA back like socialist adjacent anti-Zionist Zoran actually becomes the mayor. That would be terrifying. Democrats are also too busy, I don't know, prosecuting children for being pro-Palestine. That's what they're doing. They're also courting Silicon Valley tech CEOs to say, I promise when we get back in power, we will give you the same level of access that Trump has given to Elon Musk and these other right-wing billionaires. That's what the Democrats are doing right now. Democrats are also doing this. You know what they're doing? Aside from Cuomo seen as possible White House candidate by some Democrats, aside from running for New York mayor, where's the other thing that the Democrats are doing? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I retweeted it earlier today. If you want to understand where the Democratic Party's attitudes are, where they're going, okay, here, this is who they picked to represent the party and respond to Trump's speech. Eliza Slotkin. She was the first Democrat ever endorsed by Liz Cheney, voted for the Laken Riley Act, which is the, if you suspect a person who is brown, who happens to be undocumented of doing a crime, they can be deported instantly act, okay? Which is a violation of the Constitution anyway, violates due process, empowering Trump to detain people without due process, and is a top Democratic voter of Trump's cabinet. Okay? As a senator, one of 12 Democrats who voted for the anti-migrant Laken Riley Act that empowers Donald Trump's ICE to detain people without due process, voted for 8 of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees while his administration dismantles the entire government. As a House member, she was one of 62 Democrats who joined 148 Republicans to express disgust at South Africa's International Court of Justice suit accusing Israel of genocide, and to praise the White House spokesperson John Kirby, calling the case meritless, counterproductive, and completely without basis in fact whatsoever. Eliza Slotkin also voted for the TikTok ban and the forcible sale bill. Eliza Slotkin opposed student debt assistance on a vote supported by 93% of her caucus. Eliza Slotkin voted against 85% of her caucus on whether the U.S. should even study the impact of its sanctions on other countries. Eliza Slotkin, as a House member, voted to overturn locally enacted criminal justice and voting rights reforms in Washington, D.C. As a House member, she voted against 94% of her caucus to bar security clearance from anyone who has used cannabis. On the UAW strike, Eliza Slotkin from Michigan, by the way, remember, that's pretty significant. She said, you can't let a perfect deal be the enemy of a good deal, okay? She doesn't care about her own constituents. She doesn't care about her own caucus. She is a light Republican, and that is the person that the Democratic Party is, Donald Trump, former CIA, of course, yeah. She voted, and I'm not done yet. Eliza Slotkin, as a House member, voted with Republicans against a bill banning U.S. aid to Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen. Remember? Bernie wanted a veto on aiding Saudi Arabia because they were doing a fucking genocide in Yemen. Remember that? As a House member, she also voted against a bill to remove U.S. troops from Syria. And also, she was a CIA agent, or was a CIA agent. I guess you don't really ever quit being a CIA agent. It doesn't work that way. It's great. America is a real democratic country. There's so much democracy. Look at all of our beautiful options. Oh my God, I can't understand how Donald Trump won the election. Oh my God, he's destroying the administrative state. What are the Democrats doing in this process? Oh, just voting for his cabinet picks and not really saying anything about it and kind of showing their bellies, waiting for the opportune moment to farm you for fucking campaign contributions once again, hoping that you recognize the harm that the Republicans have done and be fearful enough to, you know, expect the Democrats to at least win a majority in the House or the Senate during the midterms so they can obstruct the Republican agenda. Well, there won't be an agenda remaining by the time the midterms come around if Donald Trump keeps bouldering over the administrative state like this anyway. Why are the Democrats doing this? Don't they want to win? No, dude, they don't. Okay? They don't. They don't. They don't. They just want your fucking donations, and they want to maintain the same corporate hegemony. They want to, because they're funded by the same exact corporations that the Republicans are funded by, they want to look like they're marginally better than the Republican Party by saying, hey, you know, we're pro this, we're pro that the Republicans are not in favor of. Hey, we don't want to kill trans people, but also we won't do anything to fucking defend trans people. And maybe we defended trans people too much. We should also kill trans people. We're better than the Republican Party. We care about undocumented migrants. This is a nation of immigrants. Also, when we're in charge, we won't do shit about the undocumented migrants. We won't actually push for amnesty or anything. God forbid. Their strategy is quite literally do nothing and expect W's. James Carville openly said this, by the way. The best thing Democrats can do in this moment is to roll over and play dead. That's what James Carville said. Yeah, we stand for nothing. We won't do anything. Yeah. But hey, we're marginally better. Yeah. The stand for nothing and not do anything party is still marginally better than we want to fucking kill you party. Okay. And then every single goddamn liberal that is unconditionally loyal to the Democratic Party that does not care about their fucking well-being whatsoever will forget all of the instances where the Dems didn't do shit, okay, stood idly by and let the Republican roll over the entire administrative state, will come into my chat and be like, Hasan, sweetie, are you telling me that the Democrats are not marginally better? Not realizing that year over year, the marginally better position is basically just, you know, the Republican position from fucking 4 years ago. That is precisely what happened with Kamala Harris's idiotic campaign.
What will come the reconciliation process? It's going to take us 5 or 6 weeks probably to dig through all those details and come up with the final proposal. So everybody just reserve judgment, watch us work, and you'll like the final product. I'm very excited about the moment that we're at.
You say Democrats are lying when they say you're going to cut Medicaid. The plan that you passed does instruct the House Energy and Commerce Committee to find $880 billion in cuts, right?
That's right. That's one of the
committees. So how did they get $880 billion in cuts from that committee without touching Medicaid?
Because ENC has it actually has the broadest jurisdiction of any committee in Congress. It covers everything, energy and commerce. You know, the name indicates how broad the jurisdiction is. I challenge you or anybody on your staff, do a word search for Medicaid on the resolution that we passed last night. You will not find it. That is not part.
Yeah, because Medicaid is a part of the expenditure that the committee that you've tasked with cutting billions of dollars. Okay? This is so stupid. This is so incredibly fucking stupid. Oh, wait, what do you mean? Medicaid is not in the bill. Yeah, no shit, dumbass. That's why Caitlin Collins is saying, yeah, Medicaid is not directly mentioned in the bill, but you have tasked every committee to cut billions of dollars. They have to cut Medicaid in that situation.
Part of this equation, okay? We're talking about finding efficiencies in every program, but not cutting benefits for people who rightly deserve that.
That's a little twist of tongue too. People who rightly deserve it. There's people who wrongly are getting far too much Medicaid. You know, we're gonna make sure that those fucking poors are not getting that extra health care that they don't deserve. We're only going after, we're only cutting the people that don't deserve the health care that are getting it.
Work requirements for Medicaid. That is something that is public opinion polls almost 90%. You don't want able-bodied workers on a program that is intended, for example, for single mothers with 2 small children who's just trying to make it. That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back.
So you are cutting Medicaid. Okay, got it. Oh, Oh, so you are cutting Medicaid. You're just deciding, who to cut Medicaid for. So it wasn't about waste, fraud, and abuse. Nice. Yeah. Of course, they're going to fucking tack work assignments onto it. It's an idiotic way that they try to do this. You mean Asmongold's audience? Yeah. Yeah, they'll think it's based, though, when Donald Trump says, nah, it's only the Mexicans who are no longer getting any sort of Medicaid. Trust. They'll be like, oh, I don't understand. Why did the federal government cut off my Medicaid? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm literally beneath the poverty line. That's why I need this fucking, I need this additional aid from the federal government. Why did they do this to me? I thought it was based. I guess you're Mexican now. That's right.
To work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
And I want to follow up on that, but on that Energy and Commerce Committee, the vast majority of funds that they have are Medicare and Medicaid. So when you talk about $880 billion,
that's simply not true.
So where are you cutting from within that committee?
Energy and Commerce's jurisdiction would take us 20 pages.
Yeah, able-bodied adult without dependents is built into Medicaid processing. He's outright lying. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They want to add additional work requirements, okay? And if you're literally ineligible for work, they will find some bullshit reason. And it's also an incredibly costly endeavor. Other right-wing states have also tried this before, okay? This failure of a program to add additional work requirements to government-funded health care. What is Medicaid? Medicare is for older people, okay? Your eligibility usually it means that you're above a certain age. You've retired, and that's why you need it, or you're disabled, okay? Medicaid, on the other hand, also works with disabled people as well, but for the most part, Medicaid is like Medicaid eligibility means that you are below a certain level of poverty that you desperately need fucking help from the federal government. Okay? Yeah, it failed. You're talking about, I think it was in Georgia, where 6,400 people signed up and they spent $80 million to create a pilot program to basically force people to do work. And if they couldn't do work, they had to do community service. Okay, if they were disabled, they had to do community service. And it fucking failed. Yes, Medicare, it cares for the elderly. Medicaid, it aids the poor. Exactly. That's a good way to remember it. Right-wing states like Texas have the Obamacare block Medicaid for all provisions for adults without a disability since the OG bill passed. Many right-wing states did not even want the additional federal government funds. They literally refused to allow Medicaid expansion in their states. And then people had to forcibly claw it by voting, by getting it on a fucking ballot measure, and then democratically voting for that ballot measure, even though their Republican congresspersons refused and their Republican governors refused to allow Medicaid expansion. It directly caused tens of thousands of people in these red states to die in the process, okay? Because not having access to medical care, not being able to pay for medical care, causes you to not get medical care. And if you don't get medical care, you fucking die. Okay?
To go through, Caitlin, they've got almost everything in the U.S. economy. There are large pools in the healthcare components, but we're not going to cut benefits for people who are rightfully deserve it. And watch this play out. Just reserve your judgment. The White House has said that we're not going to do that. The House Republicans have said we're not going to do that. And Senator Kennedy said, hell no. Okay, so you heard it from the Senate, the House, and the White House. So let's let this play out. We have a long football game to play.
Just let it happen, Caitlin. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Shh. Just let it happen. Let me just cut a little bit of Medicaid. Come on. Come on now. Let me just cut a little bit.
Last night was the kickoff of the game. So just watch it play out and you'll see. I think the American people are going to benefit greatly by the package that we're going to produce for them. We are going to deliver the America First agenda, and it's going to be good for everybody. We're going to spur economic growth. We're going to cut regulations. We're going to cut the deep state and the bureaucracy to make government more efficient. We're going to secure the border. We're going to get energy dominance back again for our country that is long overdue. And we're going to spur on the U.S. economy. And by the way, Caitlin, the big drive of all this is to ensure we don't have the largest tax increase in U.S. history at the end of this year, which is what will happen if we don't get this bill passed. I mean,
dog. Dog, that is literally because Donald Trump last time around, when he put the tax cuts, okay, I love this. This is fantastic. In 2017, Donald Trump actually pushed for massive tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. In the process, he also pushed for tax cuts for everyone beneath the top marginal tax rate. Except those tax cuts for regular people like yourself, were set to sunset, as in go back up by 2025. Now, the reason why he did that is because he thought he would be a two-term president, and it would be the Democratic administration's thing to deal with, okay? But of course, he lost the election, and then he had the eligibility to run again, so now he's the president. So now he's watching his own legislation unfold. The tax cuts for the top marginal tax rate, tax bracket, okay, the 1%, are permanent. Tax cuts for corporations are permanent. Tax cuts for the working class are not permanent. So he's over here saying, oh, we're going to see a massive tax hike. We're going to see a massive tax hike. This is terrifying. Terrifying, massive tax hike. Okay? Brother, you put those in place.
Well, and Speaker,
the average U.S. taxpayer is going to have a 22% tax hike.
Mr. Speaker, I do appreciate a good football reference, but you just mentioned work requirements and maybe changing that.
See, this is also another incredible battle for a decent, competent Democratic Party. Okay? This would be a fantastic opportunity for the Democrats to swing from the fucking fences and talk about how the Republicans love giving tax cuts to the wealthy, and their initiative obviously was slated to sunset those tax cuts that you've enjoyed, those marginal tax cuts that you've enjoyed. Okay, now that's going to go back up. What we should do is reverse the Trump tax cuts and basically, if you want, modestly increase the tax cuts, or modestly increase and negotiate, find a middle ground for the working class while simultaneously greatly increasing the tax rate for the top marginal tax bracket and also the corporations. You swing for, not from the fences, ESL man. Sorry, swing from the fences. Or swing for the fences. I apologize. And it's not like, when are you interviewing a terrorist again? Soon, brother, don't worry. I'll find another person that you consider to be a terrorist to interview. I mean, I'm the terrorist. So technically, every day, I'm doing terrorism. Did you say swing from the fences? Yes. These people are such bots, dude. Don't ban these guys. I want to hear what other wonderful attitudes they have. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm working on interviewing a doctor from Cuba, which the American government also considers to be terrorists. So don't worry. I got more terrorists. I hate this guy's smug ass smile. I know. He's such a fucking demon, dude. Yeah. Why Global Day of Jihad? Every day is a Global Day of Jihad at this broadcast. Anyway, the American government considers Luigi Mangione to be a terrorist. It would be fucking awesome if I could interview him. I would love the opportunity to interview Luigi Mangione. Perhaps this will help you understand that, like, just because someone has told you someone else is a fucking terrorist doesn't mean that they actually are. In many instances, maybe they've not even done any harm to others whatsoever, like the random Yemeni teenager, who I did think was Houthi initially, because I don't fucking care. I would interview someone from the Ansar Allah movement. I wouldn't do it on Twitch any longer. I'd most likely do it on YouTube, but I'd do it nonetheless. This is the thing that people don't understand. And they think, oh, he admits it. He's so stupid. They don't understand. I have no issues with that. I don't have a problem interviewing. I do not have a problem interviewing militants, okay? Now, the interview might be different in terms of the attitude, in terms of the vibes overall. Why would you not on Kick? Why the fuck would I ever go to that platform? Anyway.
Will you reduce the federal match or try to establish?
Yeah, I would interview Donald Trump, too, if I had the opportunity. Yeah, it's really funny when people go, dude, I can't believe Hasan interviewed a terrorist. Meanwhile, they literally have a dude who chopped heads off running the current Syrian government. And that motherfucker's going on podcasts like he's a former Al-Qaeda guy. Like, he used to chop people's heads off, dude. Now he looks like Zelensky and is going and talking about how important institutions are. So fuck. Anyway.
A cap on federal funding as you sort through this for Medicaid?
No, I just explained. Per capita caps is off the table. The FMAPs, we're not going to cut into those programs that way. What we are going to do is present this large tax increase. You realize if we don't pass this bill, small businesses, 26 million businesses in this country, their tax rates are going to go up to 43% overnight if we don't get this bill passed. So we have no margin for error. We have to get this done, and we will. We're going to deliver on this mission for the American people.
Yeah, I was just asking because, as you know, your home state of Louisiana, about 80% of the Medicaid spending there is covered by the federal government. We've seen it in a lot of red states, of course, across the United States. It's not just a blue state issue. As you have seen through this, and we've seen the blowback that some Republicans in your caucus that are getting when they go back home to their districts, worried about these cuts or worried about what DOJ is doing. Do you have concerns that that's anything that Democrats will be able to use to run against?
Sky News and AP both interviewed the Yemeni teen as well, but we're supposed to believe because you interview him that is a crime against humanity? Yes, but it doesn't matter. They're also saying that I interviewed him by glazing him, which I did. I did glaze him. Okay? I did. He's not a part of the I asked him about whether or not he was anti-Semitic. This person had no reason to lie. I've addressed this a million fucking times over. Okay? And also, both of those places, both of those outlets literally said that he is not a part of the Houthi movement. Okay? It is probably one of the most idiotic things that people still chirp about. Where they're like, he glazed the terrorist. See how brown this kid is? See how Muslim this kid is, dude? How dare he? Suck my dick. Even fucking Fox News admitted that he wasn't a terrorist. He was not a part of the Ansar Allah movement. Weird, once you realized he wasn't a combatant, you treated him like a teenager, which is what he was at the time. Yeah, also, even if he was directly a combatant, okay, I still think that there is importance to interview these people, okay? It just doesn't really matter. I mean, the direction of the interview would be different, especially if he was like, nah, I fucking hate Jews or some shit like that. Obviously, then it would definitely... the direction of the interview would change. He seemed media trained, to be honest. I thought so too at the time, but I think it's a fucking stupid thing to make an assertion over, especially when you think about it for a brief moment and realize the conditions in Yemen, you know? I thought so too at the time. And then I realized, yeah, I don't think he's fucking media trained. There's already, like he's a 19-year-old from Yemen. Fuck it, say we cancel Vice for doing the ISIS documentary. Dude, Hasan and Lila literally interviewed Yahya Sinwar and were responsible for the last ever Western media interview that Yahya Sinwar gave before Israel killed him. Okay? The fuck are we talking about? Like, get out of here. That was an incredible interview, by the way. It was an incredible get. That's real journalism. They were in the fucking Gaza Strip. ISIS isn't even comparable. Yeah, that's the other side. Like, it's fucking ridiculous to make this comparison to ISIS. It's just, you're a gross Islamophobic piece of shit when you make those assertions. A movement with a banner, don't care about media. Yeah, exactly. They're fucking, the Ansar Allah movement's banner literally says a curse upon the Jews, okay? What obviously, Norm Finkelstein has talked about this extensively. I've also talked about this as well, about like what on that part of the world, like what they associate with. Like, this is also a point of contention right now with a BBC interview where they were saying, oh, you guys like changed the translation of the person saying Yahud to Zionist. It's like fucked up. Okay. Yeah. Colloquially, because Israel uses Judaism both as a defense mechanism here in the Western world, but also as an offensive mechanism over there, Israel is not seen as a marginalized group of people that are constantly fucking under attack, understandably. Why the fuck would anybody else feel that way? It's literally the same as saying that from their perspective, they see the Star of David being carved onto the fucking face of a prisoner. They're not making this distinguishing factor where they're like, well, maybe some Jews are not firmly committed to doing a genocide. Of course they think that. It's not correct. They're also crying that BBC translated jihad, the struggle. Oh yeah, there was that too. Listen, they're going to make Medicaid nearly impossible. There you go. Actually addressing it. Dog, I'm sorry. If you think this is the first time I've ever addressed this, you are funny. Do you know how many fucking times I've talked about this? And not just to like directly respond to shitters either, like straight up. Anyway.
Against those Republicans.
No, because no, I don't. Because the videos you saw of the town halls were for paid protesters in many of those places. These are Democrats who went to the events early and filled up the seats. If the videos had panned,
you can't argue they were all
building,
paid protesters, though, Mr. Speaker.
Many of them were.
A Republican acknowledged they were his constituents.
One Republican acknowledged they were his constituents. That's fantastic. Okay, but they had Democrats come and fill the seats early.
Oh, they were paid protesters. You got it.
This is an old playbook that they pulled out and ran, and it made it look like that
I wish the Democrats were that equipped, dude. Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine the Democratic Party actually getting together to like, create some kind of popular resistance, mount some kind of popular resistance against Republicans at town halls. Okay, they're too busy yelling at their own advocacy groups right now, saying, "Why are you yelling at us? Go yell at the Republicans."
happening in Washington is unpopular. But I'm going to tell you, Caitlin, the American people are behind what's happening. The DOGE efforts is polling over 80% right now. They want us to find efficiencies in the federal government. They want the government to be smaller and leaner and more accountable to the taxpayers. And that's what these efforts are all about. That's what the Republican Party is about. That's what our commitment is to do, to make government work better for the people. This is a restoration of common sense. And I think the American people are going to remain in favor of what's happening here.
Okay, those lawmakers do also represent Democrats. That doesn't mean they were paid to show up if they're upset about this. But I want to move on because just to get on what you are trying to do overall here, I know you're used to difficult tasks. You've had a small majority. You survived a threat to your speakership. But a question that a lot of people have is how you are going to balance the budget without touching Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid while also increasing defense spending, which is what the White House laid out today.
Yeah, well, look, part of the equation is all the new revenue that the President Trump and the administration are delivering for the American people. Look, the tariffs are estimated, just the tariff on China, the 10% import tax on China, and of course they've been fleecing us for a long time as an unfair trade partner. That alone is going to yield $600 billion over 10 years in new revenue to the government. The DOGE savings. Elon Musk has said that he can find close to $1 trillion in fraud, waste, and abuse. I was with him late last night in his office, going through what he's doing. This is very real. We're going to have new revenue and savings that we have never had before. The gold card that President Trump announced yesterday, I mean, that could bring in...
That's the other... Bro, there is already a visa structure. It was just cheaper, okay? It was $1 million. Now it's $5 million, okay? The notion that this new gold card is going to bring so much revenue into our coffers is idiotic, unless they're just giving it to every oligarch. Okay. And even then, there's not that many oligarchs out there. So I doubt that they would be able to fucking get. Donald Trump said they would bring in 10 million people into the United States of America. Okay. If we got 10 million people to pay $5 million to become American citizens, think about how much money we'd have. What happened to the America First races, by the way? That's also funny. Yeah. How do they feel about that? Anyone with 5 million liquid dollars will use to hire an immigration attorney and get a visa for much less than $5 million. To call this stupid is to insult stupidity. They are assuming correctly that most rich people are white. No. First of all, most rich people are not white. What are you talking about? First of all, why the fuck would a rich white person come to America? Okay? Where are the white people? They're in fucking Europe. They're in Russia, if you consider them white. I guess, like, some people don't. But what fucking Norwegian millionaire is like, oh man, I was really excited to come to America. Let me spend $5 million on it. Are you insane? No. The people that want to come to America that are that rich are not going to be coming from white nations, okay? They already have different places to go. You can go to Monaco. You can go to fucking Zurich. Yeah. No, it's going to be the whitest people that are going to get an American citizenship are going to be coming from Russia. That's it. And even then, there's not that many super wealthy people to spend $5 million on a gold card. It's going to be Gulf nation, royal family members. It is going to be, cartel overlords. It'll be people coming from, ironically, Latin America, India, maybe China, probably China. A lot of millionaires in China. It's so funny that Americans think that it's going to be like Norwegian multimillionaires that are like, oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, it's mostly going to be Chinese. He said companies will use it to get the people to bring them over. Yeah, that's fucking moronic. What company is spending $5 million on one singular employee? Are you insane? The H-1B visa process already works. It's significantly cheaper than that. Yeah. Dude, do you understand how anything works? If there was unique talent, okay? If there was that much talent out there, sports leagues, great example, okay? You fucking think that anyone would spend $5 million to get, like, I don't know, the next LeBron James from a Balkan state? No, they would already have reason to get a separate visa. There is a separate visa for that. Exceptionally talented people get a different visa for that. You think Wemby has to pay $5 million, or his team has to give him, or his team has to pay the American government $5 million to bring Wemby in to play at the fucking NBA? Are you stupid? Yes. It's called the O1 visa. Individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement. Yeah. Filing for an H-1B is $780. You get fined $4,000 if you're a company that already has a lot of them. Who is stupid enough to pay $5 million? Yeah. You know why we have so many different visa avenues, by the way? Because America, I can't believe I'm going to bring forth this truism. America's a nation of immigrants. We've always been a nation of immigrants, both undocumented and documented. When I was a talent manager, I got an O1 for a mid DJ. You're right. It's incredibly easy. Exactly. It's so fucking stupid. Worldwide taxation, exit tax, estate tax, gift tax, foreign accounts registration, foreign business interest registration, etc. are also reasons why very few of these will be sold. Yeah. Was that a Biden sound clip? No, I was doing my Brandon, though. My best Brandon.
That could bring in hundreds of billions of all this plays out over the months ahead as the budget and the spending habits of Washington change and the efficiency of Washington changes. I think the American people are going to like what they see.
Yeah,
and you got to wait and see how all this balances out.
And we will. None of that.
Damn, it's almost like this law is just fucking stupid and it's just there to justify mass deportation, but the slop tubers told me it's good, so probably not. Yeah, I've decided I'm only learning politics from slop tubers who don't know their fucking ass from their elbow, who don't know anything. They barely are functional human beings. But hey, guys who basically fucking look at Reddit posts to make a comprehensive drama YouTube video without any investigation whatsoever will tell you all about the fucking many benefits. I like that people immediately, when I say this, start saying their favorite slop tuber. Like, I'm not even talking about Asmongold here. Like, literally, there are so many people that you think I'm referring to in this instance. No, it's not Moist Critical. Guess what? Moist Critical knows more about the immigration process because he's been dicked by the immigration process as a esports team owner. Ironically.
That's guaranteed. We'll see what those numbers look like. Did Elon Musk approve of the blueprint that you passed last night? Did he think there were enough spending cuts in there?
Well, we haven't gotten to that yet. These are numbers, a floor, at least 1.5 trillion in savings that we're going to find, and trying to get higher, maybe 2 trillion or higher.
It's a company fights me over $10 on overtime. Who's going to spend $5 million amount? Yeah.
Start. Look, you don't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime. It takes miles of open ocean to turn an aircraft carrier. That's what the U.S. economy is. It took decades to get into this situation, but we are going to begin to bend that curve, and it's a great thing for the country.
I was just curious, since you met with him after this happened. Speaking of, deadlines that are a lot sooner than what you're talking about, there's a shutdown deadline that is looming on March 14th, which you well know. Do you think Congress is going to end up passing another continuing resolution then?
Well, look, I wish we didn't have to, but it looks like the Democrats are trying to push us into that. They've added these really crazy conditions onto the negotiation over the last week or so. They've added a condition that says we have to tie the hands of President Trump, that the legislative branch they want us to dictate to the executive branch, for example, a base number of employees for each agency in the executive branch. I don't even think it's constitutional what they're requiring, but it's certainly an absurd notion. But
how
they're
long
standing
would that
by that. So
CR go, do you believe?
Well, we haven't negotiated that yet, but if it's a CR, it may be an entire year-long CR with some anomalies on it. You know how all this works. But it's not what we prefer. We would like to do individual appropriations bills, but it takes both parties to negotiate that or trying to, it looks like, trying to set up a government shutdown. We can't allow that to happen.